My name is kind of different, kind of hard to read, but after I let you know a couple of times, hopefully only once, and you still pronounce it wrong, my question now is, are you doing it on purpose? Your name has a lot to do with your identity. So I take it seriously. And there's a reason for that. We're going to talk about it. So come right back. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ruthina Porterfield, and I'm God's favorite, but I want you to get to know him. So click on that subscribe button and let me hook y'all up every 7th, 17th, and 27th of each month. I want you to have an experience with him and have a conversation with me too. Okay, so let's get to the video. Okay, so I'm actually recording this on February 1st, which is the first day of Black History Month. And I say that because it's connected to what actually inspired the topic for this video. So I am doing the book of Daniel for my podcast, and I read something that is very overlooked and not spoken about when it comes to the story of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, let me go through the history just a little bit. Just a little bit. So, Daniel, and we're going to say the three boys for now because there's a lot of names, there's long names. Daniel and these three great guys were taken into Babylonian captivity, and we'll talk about the verses right here. I'll put the verses right here. But they were taken into Babylonian captivity, and when they became slaves, the first thing that they did, the Babylons did to them, was change their names. Check it out.
So you see here that Daniel's birth name, his native name, means God is my judge. But after being enslaved, the Babylonians changed his name to Belshazzar. And this is the pattern you'll see for the three Hebrew boys as well. Meet Hananiah. Now, you know him as Shadrach, but his real name means God is gracious. And then there's Mishael, also known as Meshach, but his real name, Mishael, means who is like God. And finally, we have Azariah, aka Abednego. His real name means God is my helper. And if you ask me, in the end, if you know their stories, these four young men live up to their real names very well.
Okay, now, if you know anything about U.S. history, that practice that we just saw should sound familiar to you, because one of the first things that the colonizers did when they would bring Africans over here to America is change their name. Now, why did they do that? Couple reasons that come to mind. Number one, they wanted to disassociate that person who was now a slave, disassociate them from their culture and who they were, and then number two, assimilate them into this new culture and into the person that the slaveholder wanted them to be. Completely annihilate all that this person was, all that this person was going to be, and turn them into this person, this entity, whatever it is that serves the slaveholder. Sounds like Satan's work to me, just saying. But you know what? Let's not talk about the negative. Let's talk about how it happens actually in a positive way. Okay, so yeah, we saw the evil ways that this practice was used, but you know what? What the devil meant for evil, God can use it for good, because we actually see other ways where this practice was used. For example, Jacob in the Bible, his name literally meant trickster, right? And then he had an encounter with God, and God changed his name to Israel. Or let's talk about Peter. Peter was not his real name when Jesus met him, When Jesus met him, his name was Simon. And then he said something profound. Jesus saw the power in him and changed Simon's name to Peter, which means the rock. Amazing ways that this practice can be used. Now let's talk about personally. Let's talk about personally with ourselves. So we might not necessarily change our names, but the whole changing name practice is about changing your identity, about tapping into a part of yourself that is powerful, that can be useful for God's glory. So I'll give you an example. Let me give you my testimony. Okay, so I am an actress, and anyone who's been an actor or actress knows that you do a whole lot of other jobs before you actually start making money doing what you love. For me, that became childcare and personal assisting. Now, mind you, when I moved to LA, I had graduated from college, I had worked corporate America, I had spoken before large audiences. But when I got here, I was starting completely over. So I tapped into my talent with children and into my skills to help people manage their lives, which turned into a career of taking care of people's kids and being a personal assistant. And it was great for a little bit. It paid the bills. It put me in company of some pretty cool people. But here's the problem. I settled into that. And when I settled into that, my employers accepted it. And this affected the way that I carried myself, the way that I interacted with people, the way that I presented myself to the world. My identity had been changed. I allowed my identity to be changed by what I was doing at the time, instead of remembering that my identity was in Christ and what he had called me to do. So, what did that mean? I had to change some things. The first change I had to make, and the only one I'm going to talk about here, is in my mind. I had to change the way that I saw myself, because for years I only thought of myself as someone who took care of kids and helped families. And so when someone asked me what I did, the battle to answer that question was huge. My soul wanted to say, I take care of kids, I help families, I work at Old Navy. But my spirit was very clear and wanted to say, I am an actress, I'm an author, I'm a producer, I speak in front of audiences. My soul was ashamed at how I was paying my bills, but my spirit was full of faith and excitement at how God was going to provide and what he was going to do. And so the battle would rage and rage when someone would ask that question, to the point where I would just say, I do a lot of things. I take care of kids. I work at Old Navy. It was crazy. It was a mess. Does that sound familiar? So, God had to remind me who I am. He had to remind me of my identity. And so I started repeating a new answer to that question every day to myself. I started saying on a daily basis, hi, my name is Ruthina Porterfield. I'm an Academy Award-winning actress, a New York Times best-selling author, and a hit-making producer of television, music, and film. And I'm a speaker all over the world. Woo! Oh gosh, that's the first time I'm saying that in public. Lord, don't leave me out here looking crazy. Anywho, get it together, get it together. Yeah, so I did. I repeated that every single day. I repeated that when I was folding clothes at Old Navy. I repeated that in the car driving a kid to school. I repeated that constantly every single day. And I'm actually proud to say I'm pretty on my way. When I look back at some stuff, I mean, there's a book sitting behind me right now that I wrote. I've got tons, well, not tons, a few things on my acting resume, one of which comes from an award-winning play. God is moving, but I had to look at the way that I saw myself. I had to look at my identity and remember that my identity is not in the way people see me, it's in the way that God sees me. And that is my reminder to you. You are not the way that people see you, and you may not even be the way that you see you. You need to look and see yourself the way that God sees you, because that is your true identity. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. In the meantime, don't forget to come back and check out the next video, check out the podcast and all that jazz. And